Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter for the next 20 minutes. Today we are going to be talking about standard directories. So we're actually going to look into the fields or the information that needs to be filled out on people's records so they show up in the directory and in the proper order. And then we're also going to look at one of our default or what we call a standard directory template that you can easily run without having to go in and do any customizing. But I also want you to keep in mind that tomorrow and Thursday, I'm going to be doing a webinar each day that's going to become a little bit more involved. So tomorrow we're going to look at customizing the directory, and then actually on Thursday we're going to go in and look at a photo directory as well and how to set up that and customize it. So if you're going to be running a church Windows directory at some point in the future for your organization, it's probably going to be a good idea to tune in tomorrow and Thursday at 1 to get some more information and ask those questions that you might have about a directory. Kellyanne is listening in with me today. She's going to be answering questions. So there is a questions section on your go to webinar toolbar. If you just expand it, just type in your question and Kellyanne will do her best to get you an answer that way. There are a lot of you and just two of us, so please be patient and we'll try our best to get to answer those. Also, at the end, if you want to wait to ask your question, that would be great too. And if I find or come across a question that I think would really be beneficial to other people, I'll repeat it and we can go over it that way as well. So, the webinar is taking place in version 20. This is our new version that has new interface for the membership screen. So when you open membership in version 20, this is the screen you're going to see. We like to call it the membership portal. And then from here, we're going to go into people. And I want to just point out a couple things or reiterate a couple things that are really important when you're running your church directory. There's specific fields that need to be filled out. I want to go to the Ellison family. This is one that I kind of set up today to show you some examples. So let's talk about Penelope. She is the only person in her household at this time. And there are two main fields that we need to have filled in for Penelope if we want her to show up on the directory. The first field is this include on directory section. If you want to see someone on your directory, you have to have a check mark in this box. Okay, so prior to version 20, it was a yes/no field. You would actually pick, yes, I want someone in the directory, or no, I don't. Now it's a simple checkbox. So anyone who does not have a check mark in that box is not going to print up when you run a directory out of Church Windows. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you want to see them, this box has to be checked. There's also a little field next to it. Let me get rid of my highlighter now. It says with special character. This is an optional box. What this allows you to do is actually add a character of some sort. People like to use an asterisk or a caret or something like that next to a person's first name in the directory. So if you need to add a little note next to people, a little character to show that they're a little bit different for some reason, you can do that by adding a special character. A lot of times that we see this, or when I see people use this feature, is if they want to specify who like a full member is. You could put a little asterisk, or maybe it's a non-member spouse. So someone that you still want to have in the directory, but you want to note that they're not a full member. You could maybe put a little caret symbol or something like that. And like I said, in the directory, it's going to print right after their first name. It'll show that little character of your choosing. This is an optional thing. You don't have to do it. It doesn't need to be filled in. You can leave the box completely blank. But it's another feature that will allow you to customize your directory a little bit more. So you can specify who someone is that way. Then right below that, we have something called Directory Report Order. This field is very, very, very important when you're running reports, especially a directory. Okay, so you want to make sure this is filled out on everybody. It's even important to be filled out if they're not in the directory, because this helps the program know who's who in your family. Okay, so you have 5 different codes that you can put in on someone for their directory reporter. I just want to go over each of them quickly. I know a lot of you probably know this, but there might be some people who are a little unsure when to maybe use code 4 or 5. So code 1, which stands for primary. Every household you have needs to have someone with a primary code, a number 1. Okay? And you can only have one person within your household that has a number 1 code for primary. Okay? So a lot of times this is like the most active person in the family or the main contact person in the family you give the primary code to. A lot of times though, what people revert back to, who becomes the primary, is who they want to see print first on the directory. So for example, if your last name is Klein and you want to see Mitch's name listed before Rachel's, so I want my husband's name first and then mine, you would want to give Mitch, or the husband in that example, the 1 code for primary. Okay, so that's whose name is going to print first right after their last name and then the comma when you print your directory. Okay, remember, only one person should be a primary in the household, and every household needs to have a primary person. Okay, your next code is going to be a secondary code. Keep in mind you only want one person in the household with a secondary code. Also, it's commonly the spouse partner of the primary person. That's who gets the code 2 for secondary. All households, or any household, you aren't required to use someone with a code of 2. But if there is a couple, it's a good idea that one person is the primary, their spouse or partner is the secondary. All right, code number 3 down here. This is going to be for your kids. So all of your kids, or I should say most of your kids, need to have a 3. So in your directory, your first line is going to be, or on our default templates, the first line is going to be the last name, then the primary's first name, then the secondary's first name. Then below that, it's going to list out your kids' names. Okay, so make sure you give all your children a 3. Also keep in mind, if you have a kid whose last name, so someone who is coded with a 3, whose last name is different than your primary person's last name, then the child's name will be reiterated down on the child's line. So to inform you that the kid has a different name from the primary last name than the primary person. Okay, let's talk about secondary/primary. This code is assigned to people who would ordinarily be secondary. So, for example, you would have someone with a code of 1 in the household, and then their spouse partner would be a 4. You would use the 1 and the 4 combination if you have a couple that have different last names. So say you have Bob Smith and Kathy Allen. Okay, and you want to be able to find them in the S's with the Smiths and the A's with the Allens. You would give the primary person a 1, and then their spouse partner would be a 4. They'll show up both places, so they're easily found when printing a directory. Okay, last one is a number 5. Number 5 is an individual separately option. What this allows you to do is keep someone within their family, but have them print individually separately in the directory. So this is used a lot when you have an adult child who's still living at home, but maybe they are a full member in your church and they want to have their own section in the directory. Another good example of this is if you have an older person, a parent, an elderly person living in a household with, say, their adult children, and they're in the same family in membership, but you want that older person to still be listed separately in their own unique setting in the directory. You could give them a number 5. Okay, So quick overview of our directory report order options. It's really important that you get those filled in so your reports print people in the proper order that you're looking for. All right, I want to show you next this new feature that came out in version 20. It is a great tool for family situations where there might be a divorce or where you have a child who goes to both of their parents' households and their parents don't live in the same place. This came out version 20. It's really easy to use. So let me show you my example that I set up. I have Penelope Ellison. She is in her own household. She's the only one listed here on the left, you can see. But I want to go up here to person lookup and I'm going to find her son, Cody. Her son, Cody, is actually in the household with his dad, Ian. So Penelope and Ian are living at two different addresses. We see we can update their marital address to say divorce. Oop, this is Cody. On Ian to say divorced. So him and Penelope have divorced, but they still have a son. Okay. Cody is currently listed in Ian's household. What we can do is link Cody over to his mom's household so he actually shows up with his mom and with his dad without making a duplicate individual or entry for Cody. And then by doing that, we have the option when running the directory to just see Cody in Ian's household, or we can actually set it up so Cody shows with Penelope, his mom, and his dad. Okay, so let me show you that next. We need to jump back to Penelope's household here. And on the left-hand side, let me grab my highlighter. We want to go to this tab that says Other over here on the left side. By going to that Other tab, we have this new button here. It says Link Another Child to This Family. Okay, we're going to hit that button. And we're going to get this new linking additional family members box. At this point in this people search box, we're looking for Cody. Once we have Cody selected or the child selected, you're then going to hit link child to family. And as you can see down below, it now says currently listed with this family, we have Penelope the mom, and now we have Cody. And it's still showing us the original family record where he's listed with his dad. All right, so let me close this. And I'm going to then go back to Penelope's tab and show you now that Cody is listed here as well. We did not make a duplicate entry of Cody. You don't want to do that. You now have the option to have one individual but in two separate households. Also, anytime you have someone who is linked over here on the left-hand side, or I should say on the right-hand side, there's this new column of a little household. The household now has an A in it, and that is informing you that this is an additional household for Cody. Okay? So if you click on this little A next to Cody's name, it's going to then jump you back to his dad's household, where he's with his dad, Ian, and it's going to now list a P because this is Cody's primary family or primary household, where his original record resides. Okay, if you have any questions about it, type it in. I know it's new, but I think it's actually pretty straightforward on how to use it. But it's really, really nice. You don't have to have those duplicates, and now you can have the kid linked properly like they should be. Okay, so that is the new linking children feature that we have. Let me close this, and I now want to go to running just the standard directory. So we're going to go to Reports. And on step 1, I'm not going to change anything. You can check or uncheck visitors if you want to include them or not. But basically, when you run a directory, it's only going to pull those people who have that include on directory box checked. If you have more criteria you need to put in, step 1 is where you do that. Say you just want people who have a status code of active or say a UMC status of something specific. You can put that in over here on the left. But if we just strictly want those people who have their include on directory box checked, I'm not going to change a single thing here, but I am going to glance up to my sort tab and just make sure my sort is what I want, and it is. It's currently sorting alphabetical. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and that's going to take me over to step 2. Alright, now on step 2, this is where you pick your layout or what you want your directory to look at. So I'm going to show you real easy how to just pick one of our layouts. So you're going to choose directory up here at the top. You're going to hit the down arrow. Everywhere you see template, this is new in version 20. Everywhere you see template, these are templates of a directory that we have written, our programmers have designed and put in here for you to quickly pull a report. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the template for the 3-column classic directory. Most of the people I talk to like this layout, whether it's a 3 or a 2-column. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the template for a 3-column classic directory. And then at this point you can hit print and you will quickly see a preview, no fuss, no customizing of a basic or a standard directory. There it goes. Okay. So here now is just a standard format directory. It's already written into your program. You don't have to do any customizing. But like I said, if you do want to do customizing, adding emails, adding cells, ages, pictures, things like that, we're going to look at that tomorrow and Thursday. But this is just our run-of-the-mill standard directory. Now I do want to point out here with our Ellison family, we do have Penelope. And we do have, where did Ann go? Here he is. Hello, right up here. Okay, so here's Ann. And you see Ann has Cody in it. Okay, so by default, your directory is going to have Cody with his dad, and Penelope, he isn't going to show him until we tell the program that we want to see Cody linked with Penelope's family. So let me close out here real quick and let me show you real easy where that checkbox is. I'm going to close the preview, and right up here on the top left there is this checkbox now. It says include additional family members linked from other households. So if we want to see Cody in both places with his mom and his dad, you now have the option to do so by checking this box. We're going to hit print again. There it goes. Okay, could be because I'm recording the screen. Okay, but here we go. Anyways, this is what we need to talk about. So Ann is here with Cody, and now we see Penelope is also listed here with Cody. So Cody's now showing with his dad and his mom. Okay? But otherwise, this standard directory is going to do your last name and then a comma. It's going to put the primary's name first. Let's look right here at the Millers. Let me zoom in a skosh. Here's the last name. Here's Mel. He's marked number 1. That's why he's printing first. Here's Wendy. She's number 2. And then we have their kids who are all listed as number 3. We have a Casey Jr., a Grayson, and a Ruth. And then we have their address listed right below with their city, state, and their zip code. And then if you have anybody who in fact has an alternate address, the default layout, like on Oliver Lenny, is going to give us the address and the dates they're there, and then their alternate address as well. Someone's asking, why isn't the city state showing for Ann? I think on Ann's record, he probably just doesn't have a city state added. Let's go check. That's a good question, though. Let me close this. People. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type those in. If you don't have any questions and you're happy with the information that you've gathered today and you need to sign out, go ahead and do that. That's totally fine. But if you have anything that you would like to ask us, Kellyanne's answering questions, feel free to do that, and we'll try to get you an answer. Carol, by default on our standard directories, the ones with the template, or I should say on this one specifically, if they have a main address on their family record and you also enter an alternate address on their record, you're going to see them both. So it'll list, like if we look back up here at Mr. Oliver, it's going to list his main address. And then it's going to list the date ranges he's at his alternate address, which this is sample data, and this date range I wouldn't think would be accurate. It would probably, like we're in Ohio, so we have a lot of snowbirds that go to Florida, so it's probably going to be something through like the winter months. A couple months would be listed here as the time they're at the alternate address, and then the alternate address is going to be listed right below that. So the program knows who has an alternate address, and then it goes in and prints it automatically for you. You're welcome. And of course, you don't have to have the alternate address show. This, like I said, is just one of our standard layouts. So if you decide you don't want to see people's alternate address, then you would go in and you would edit the layout, which is what we're going to look at tomorrow. But once again, this is just a default. All right, if you're typing a question, please send it. I don't want to end the webinar before I can get you an answer. But like I said, if you're content with what you picked up on today, then feel free to close out, and we'll be wrapping up here shortly if no other questions come in. All right, doesn't look like anything else is coming in. I'm going to go ahead and close up shop. Like I said, if you want more information on the directory, please come back. Tomorrow at 1, we're going to look more into customizing, and then Thursday we're going to look at a photo directory. So please come back and we will help you with that stuff tomorrow. Oh, there's one more question here. Sandra, that's a pretty specific question, and I'd be happy to answer it for you. I just don't think we're going to be able to do that today in the webinar. Please call our support line or shoot us an email to support@churchwindows.com, and we can definitely get you an answer that way. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and hope to see you back here tomorrow. Thank you.